Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a topic, look at the sources, and really pull out the key things you need to know.
Giving you that shortcut to getting informed fast.
Exactly. And today we're diving into the Kola Nut.
The Kola Nut. Sounds familiar, right?
It does. We've looked into its uses, potential benefits, and importantly, some of the side effects or things to watch out for.
Our mission, as always, is to kind of sift through it all and give you the most interesting bits.
And you probably know it from, well, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. That historical link is pretty famous.
It really is. But there's so much more to it, especially its role in West Africa.
Yeah, as a stimulant, but also culturally in ceremonies. It's got a deep history.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how one, natural thing can be part of huge global brands and these really personal local traditions.
Makes you think, doesn't it, about what's packed into these plants.
For sure.
Okay, so let's get down to basics. What is the Kola Nut exactly?
Well, according to the info we looked at, it's basically the seed from the kola tree.
Right, Kola cuminata and Kola nitida. Those are the main types.
Yeah, native to West African rainforests. And these trees, they get pretty big.
Like 40 to 60 feet tall, apparently.
And they have this cool star-shaped fruit. Inside, you find, 2 to 5 nuts?
Yeah, about the size of a chestnut. And here's the kicker, the caffeine.
Oh, right. It's packed with it.
Seriously packed.
Yeah.
Like potentially more caffeine in one nut than in 2 big cups of American coffee.
Oh, wow. Okay, that explains a lot about why it's traditionally valued as a stimulant.
No kidding.
Right.
And the taste. It's interesting.
Yeah, starts off bitter, I read.
But then as it dries, it sort of mellows out and gets this like nutmeg smell.
Quite a change.
It really is. And how people use it is also varied.
So in West Africa, it's often chewed fresh, right, for that stimulant effect.
Exactly. To stay alert, fight fatigue.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a really important cash crop for many people.
But then elsewhere, like here, you're more likely to find the extract.
Yeah, that's the form that historically went into the big cola drinks.
And still pops up in energy drinks and stuff today.
Right. Now, thinking about safety and regulation, the FDA.
Well, they classify kola nut extract as generally safe.
Okay, safe as a natural food flavoring.
Exactly. And it has been used in weight loss products and over-the-counter stimulants in the past, too, which, again, points to that stimulant property.
Makes sense. And what about as like an herbal supplement?
That's usually a bit different. They aren't typically monitored by the FDA in the same way.
So you might see caffeine warnings on those products.
Yeah, and groups like the American Herbal Products Association, they advise caution for certain people.
Like pregnant or breastfeeding women and kids under 18. Because of the caffeine, mainly.
Right. Which kind of leads us into the whole health discussion, doesn't it?
It does. Beyond just the energy kick, there's a long history of traditional claims, right?
Oh, yeah. Folklore about it. Purifying water, treating fatigue, easing hunger, lots of things.
But those are mostly anecdotal, needing, solid scientific proof.
For sure. But the potential benefits often seem linked back to that high caffeine content we mentioned.
Like boosting energy, maybe reducing hunger. Classic caffeine effects.
But research is looking into some more specific things, too.
Okay, like what?
Well, there's some talk about metabolism. The caffeine might give it a bit of a boost.
Interesting. And digestion.
Yeah, some suggestions that the powder or extract could help with digestion by possibly increasing stomach acid production.
Maybe that connects to some traditional uses for stomach issues.
Could be. And then there's circulation.
Right. The caffeine and theobromine. That's in there, too.
Yeah, both are stimulants. They might speed up the heart rate a bit, potentially helping circulation. Similar to coffee, really.
Okay, so increased energy levels, that's the obvious one from stimulating the nervous system.
Right, it makes you feel more alert.
Now, here's one I found interesting. Potential antibacterial benefits.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, too. There was a study, wasn't there?
It suggested kola nut extract might stop certain harmful bacteria from growing.
Which is pretty intriguing. Still early days for that research, though, I imagine.
Definitely. And what about more serious conditions? I saw mentions of cancer research.
Yeah, very early research, and it's still debated, but some studies looked at phytoestrogens in kola nuts.
Phytoestrogens.
Plant compounds. The idea was they might potentially help against prostate cancer, maybe by affecting cancer cells or tumors.
But that needs a lot more research, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way too early to make any claims there. It's just an area scientists were exploring.
Got it. What about people with, say, slower metabolisms, maybe linked to conditions like thyroid issues or Cushing syndrome?
Well, the stimulant properties might theoretically offer some benefit there just by potentially boosting metabolic rate a bit, but again, that's speculative.
And migraines.
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive with caffeine sometimes.
Well, caffeine is actually used in some headache treatments,
True.
and the idea is the combo of caffeine and theobromine might help by dilating blood vessels in the brain, potentially easing the pain for some types of headaches.
And asthma,
Yeah, caffeine can act as a bronchodilator.
meaning it opens up the airways.
Exactly. So, potentially helpful for breathing in some asthma cases.
Okay, so there are quite a few potential avenues being explored, mostly linked to the stimulants in the nut.
Yeah, definitely more than just a simple energy boost. But, and this is crucial,
Let me guess. More research needed.
pretty much a lot of this is based on traditional use, lab studies, or very early human research. We need more robust evidence for most of these potential benefits.
That's a really important disclaimer.
Mhm.
Okay, shifting gears a bit.
Mhm.
The cultural side is huge, right?
Absolutely massive, especially in West Africa. Think Nigeria, for instance.
It's a symbol of hospitality, respect.
Exactly. Used in major life events, weddings, funerals, naming ceremonies, it's central.
And there's a ritual around breaking it.
Yeah, the ceremonial breaking of the Kola Nut. It's a welcoming gesture, a sign of goodwill and community.
Wow. And even just day to day, like freshening breath in some places.
Uh-huh. Shows how integrated it is into everyday life, too.
So beyond just eating it or its extract in drinks, what else?
Well, we mentioned the flavoring in sodas and the boost in energy drinks and performance enhancers. That's usually extract or powder form.
Right. And folk medicine.
Yeah, uses like grinding it with honey for digestion or as a cough remedy, traditional stuff.
And planting it on graves. That's quite specific.
It is part of certain rituals, apparently. Speaks to its deeper significance.
It seems laborers used it quite practically too.
Yeah, to fight off tiredness and hunger pangs during hard work. Makes sense, given the caffeine.
And even remedies for things like hangovers or diarrhea in places like Brazil and the West Indies.
So the tradition spread out quite a bit.
And then there's the spiritual dimension.
Right, across West Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, Sierra Leone, Congo, Liberia.
Used in religious practices.
Yeah, as offerings in divination, like in Yoruba religion. And it has huge significance in Igbo culture, too.
Isn't there a famous saying in Things Fall Apart?
That's the one. He who brings cola brings life. Really sums up its importance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground uses, culture, potential benefits, but we absolutely have to talk about the downsides.
Crucial part, the side effects and risks. And unsurprisingly, a lot of it mirrors.
Caffeine.
Exactly. Side effects are pretty parallel to getting a comparable dose of caffeine from, say, coffee or tea.
So what are those general caffeine effects we should know about?
Well, it stimulates your central nervous system, obviously. It can be a diuretic.
Make you pee more.
Yep. It can increase stomach acid, which can cause issues for some.
And interfere with calcium absorption. Didn't know that one.
Yeah, potentially. And it can temporarily raise blood pressure.
Okay. Is there like a safe limit for caffeine?
Generally, for most healthy adults, around 400 milligrams a day is considered okay, but
Everyone's different.
hugely different. Some people are way more sensitive to caffeine than others.
And you mentioned energy drinks might be tricky.
Right, because they often contain herbal sources of caffeine, like Kola Nut extract, but might not list the total caffeine content clearly, so you could be getting more than you think.
And too much caffeine leads to
The unpleasant stuff, restlessness, can't sleep,
insomnia. Yeah.
jitteriness, feeling shaky, headaches, dizziness.
Rapid or irregular heartbeat. That sounds serious.
It can be. Also, dehydration, anxiety, and even dependency, where you get withdrawal symptoms if you stop suddenly.
And mixing lots of caffeine with alcohol is a definite no-no, right?
Absolutely dangerous. It can mask how drunk you feel, leading to drinking more than intended, alcohol poisoning risk, drunk driving. Really bad news.
What about allergies? Is Kola nuts a common allergen?
Doesn't seem super common, but like any food, especially a nut, allergies are possible.
So hives, upset stomach, trouble breathing.
Mm.
If you have nut allergies already, maybe best to avoid it.
Probably wise, yeah. Or at least be very cautious.
And given the stimulant effect,
Yeah.
who else should be careful?
People with high blood pressure, for sure, or any existing heart condition, the stimulant effect isn't good for their situations.
Talk to your doctor first, definitely.
Always.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you already have trouble sleeping.
Adding a stimulant like Kola nut probably isn't going to help.
Not likely, especially later in the day. It really wakes up the nervous system.
So just to recap some specific side effects people might notice. Increased blood pressure is possible.
Yes. Sleep problems like insomnia.
Feeling shaky, jittery, anxious.
Uh-huh. And nausea or stomach upset,
Right.
potentially from that increased stomach acid.
Okay, so it all really leads to a pretty important disclaimer, doesn't it?
Absolutely essential. Look, the kola nut has this incredible history, traditional uses, some potential benefits being studied.
But.
A big but. It's a stimulant, and that means it's just not suitable for everyone.
Right. So the takeaway message is,
Talk to your doctor. Seriously. Before you use any kola nut products to try and treat any medical condition.
because it could interact with medications you're already taking.
Exactly. Or worsen an existing condition. It's just not worth the risk without professional advice.
And that really goes for any supplement, doesn't it? Kola Nut included.
Yep. Always best to have that conversation with a healthcare professional who knows your specific health situation.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on the Kola Nut. Quite a journey.
It really is. From its deep cultural roots in West Africa to its surprising role in global products.
We've touched on the potential health upsides, often linked to caffeine, and really emphasized the need for caution regarding side effects and risks.
Hopefully we've distilled the key info for you, giving you that solid overview.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Considering this balance we've seen with kola nut, the traditional knowledge, the modern science, the benefits, the risks, what other natural substances out there, maybe with equally long histories, might hold similar surprises, both good and bad, that we're just